Welcome back. Welcome back. You man, Diamond K in here, of course, the DiamondKShow.com, on firetelevision.com. A lot to get into, and let's dive right in. The January 6th panel says that it has evidence that Donald Trump was involved in a criminal conspiracy. This is no surprise. This is not a revelation. But the House panel investigating the January 6th insurrection of last year at the U.S. Capitol said yesterday, for the first time, that the evidence suggests crimes may have been committed by former President Donald Trump. Now, his associates also wrapped up in this, in that failed attempt to overturn the outcome of the 2020 presidential election. Trump and his associates engaged in a criminal conspiracy to prevent Congress from certifying Joe Biden's victory in the Electoral College, the House committee said in its court filings. So what does that mean exactly? And more importantly, what are they going to do about it? Nothing. They're not going to do anything, right? They're not going to do anything. The select committee also has good faith basis for concluding that the president and members of his campaign engaged in a criminal conspiracy to defraud the United States. The committee wrote, those are the exact words that they wrote in the filing in U.S. District Court in the Central District of California, blah, blah, blah. Here's the thing that's so frustrating about this. You have this 221-page filing, and it is the committee's most formal effort to link Donald Trump to a federal crime. Now, the actual reason for filing this is not clear. They are not investigating a crime. They don't have the power to bring criminal charges on their own. They can only make a referral to the Justice Department. And Merrick Garden, he doesn't look like he wants to do anything, right? He's not going to bring any charges against a former president. And that part in itself is frustrating. They were worried about giving this guy a hearing for the Supreme Court. I don't know why. He's as soft as they come. All right. The department has been investigating since last year's riot. So much evidence. They haven't brought any charges, any significant charges. Some of the people that climbed over the wall, they get a slap on the wrist. This one gets a slap on the wrist. But less crimes. They go through a lot quicker, and we have an outcome more immediate than this. But Justice Department not giving any indication that it would consider seeking charges against Trump. Now, the committee made the claims in response to a lawsuit by Trump's former advisor, John Eastman, who was an attorney and a law professor. He's the one who consulted Trump and gave him this idea, allegedly, to overturn the election. Eastman is trying to withhold documents from the committee. Of course, he knows that a crime was committed. Now, let me say this. Of course, a crime was committed, right? But my issue is, what is the point for all this when you're not going to do anything? It's like taking your car to the shop. Give me the whole estimate on fixing this whole car up, and they go out, they price all these parts, they price a new engine, they price new tires, they price all the electrical system, they price the windows, they price a new paint job, they price a new stereo system, they price all this stuff, and then you say, "Oh, okay, thank you." Right? You're not getting none of this work done, right? What is the purpose of all of this? That's how I feel about this. What is the purpose? No charges are going to be brought against Trump or any of his associates. This is already a moot point, right? But anyway, in a statement yesterday, Charles Berman, Eastman's attorney, said that his client has a responsibility to protect client confidence, even at great personal risk and expense. So these minions of Donald Trump are laughable. These are so-called alleged alleged educated people that just throw themselves at the feet of Trump. Now, there's been all this talk that the midterm elections are going to be the downfall for the Democrats. I just don't know. I don't know if I buy that. I don't know if I buy that because now, normally, under normal circumstances, maybe. But with this Trump cult that is going on, with this Trump cult that we see putting a wedge in between the Republican Party, I don't know if they're going to be able to pull it off. And folks like, Eastman and all of these other cronies that have this dying loyalty to Donald Trump, it is a very fascinating thing to watch. So the brief that was filed was an effort to knock down Eastman's attorney's client privilege claims, right? They claim that they have a attorney client privilege on anything, right? If President Obama's attorneys were acting like this, of course, no drama Obama, he didn't do anything wrong. He's not like Donald Trump. But if Obama's attorneys acted like this, Republicans would lose their minds. But you have these Trump cronies just saying anything to what they think protect Donald Trump, but it just makes him and them look even more guilty. So the select committee is not conducting a criminal investigation. They keep saying that over and over again. They are not conducting a criminal investigation. But as the judge noted at a previous hearing, Dr. Eastman's privilege claims raised the question whether the crime, fraud exception to the attorney-client privilege applies in this situation. So if you're getting ready to murder somebody, you're getting ready to do something illegal, fraud, anything, theft, and you discuss it with your attorney, do you think that you can just commit the crime and the attorney cannot be held to account for the words that were discussed? No, you can't hide behind that. If that was the case, people can do anything and just consult an attorney. And it's a very, very wavy line. But these minions, these pawns that Trump will just throw to the side, are willing to take this chance. The filing also provides new details from the committee's interviews with several top Trump aides and members of former Vice President Pence's team, including the Chief of Staff, Mark Short, and Chief Counsel Gregory Jacob. So the committee says that it has evidence that Trump sought to obstruct an official proceeding. We know this already. It takes them a year to figure this out. We already knew that. Now, in this case, the certification of the election results by trying to strong arm Mike Pence to delay the proceedings so there would be additional time to manipulate the results. Here's the thing, fam. We already knew that. This is one of the frustrating parts of politics. They drag this stuff out to tell us stuff that we knew day one, day two, last year, right? But anyway, in a January 6, 2021 email exchange between Eastman and Jacob, revealed by the committee, Eastman pushed for Pence to intervene in his ceremonial role and halt the certification of the electoral votes, a step that Pence had no power to take. It's just ceremony. It's just theater, right? That's why this whole Electoral College needs to be done away with. It's just foolishness, right? It is just foolishness. So Jacob replied, I respect your heart here. I share your concerns about what Democrats will do once in power. I want election integrity fixed, but I have to run down every legal trail placed before me to its conclusion, and I respectfully conclude that as a legal framework, it is a results oriented position that you would never support if attempted by the opposition and essentially entirely made up. That is true. They absolutely categorically would not support these things. And if you allow this kind of mess to go down, they're just going to be doing this back and forth. Democrats and Republicans just doing this back and forth and stopping with, it's just it's foolishness. The incumbent vice president would always stop and say, "Oh, the votes are wrong." And it's crazy talk. It is crazy talk. So the committee is expected to fully release its findings in a lengthy report or a series of reports later this year ahead of the midterm elections. Is that going to have an effect on the elections? I doubt it. I think that what's going to happen is going to pretty much be baked in the cake by the summertime. And this report's probably not going to come out till late October, end of October sometime. But the panel is also working on planning days or weeks of hearings starting in April with some of the witnesses who testified. So we'll be able to get that circus live on TV, and that will be interesting to see the whole circus, because it's going to be a circus. They're going to parade out witnesses. They're going to be combative. There's going to be reclaiming my time. It's going to be all that kind of stuff, and we're going to get to see that this spring. So I am looking forward to the circus. I am here for the foolishness. But at the end of the day, what's going to happen to Trump? Pretty much nothing. They're not going to hold him accountable in regards to the January 6th insurrection, unfortunately. Now, if it was anybody else, they would hold them accountable. But for some reason, Donald Trump is not someone who they want to hold accountable. Now, they should hold him accountable. I mean, he made a mockery of our system, right? And this is the president or former president. This is the former president. And this is how he behaves. This is how he responds. This is how he acts. Because he lost an election, then he just wants to pull all of his minions in with a big lie. A big lie. Now, the committee has argued that a judge should reject Eastman's attempts to block subpoenas, ordering him to hand over documents, as the normally well-protected privilege cannot be used if the lawyer and his client are attempting to cover up or engage in a crime. So the real purpose of this is to get documents from Eastman. And by releasing what they say is evidence of the crimes committed by Donald Trump and his minions, they're saying that Eastman should not be allowed to withhold documents because they were involved in covering up and engaging in a crime. So that is the purpose of this. The real purpose is not to bring charges against Donald Trump. It's to get these documents from Eastman, right? So they're trying to back up this claim, the committee revealing in the email from Eastman, in which he appeared to admit it, right? He appeared to admit that Trump's plans to stop the election results from being certified in favor of Joe Biden were illegal. And they were, right? And as we said, if the Democrats were trying to do this, oh, Republicans would be going crazy. They would not allow this. It is clearly illegal what they attempted to do. And as much as this has been dragging on, and many folks have lost interest in it because they feel that nothing's going to result from it. If we can prevent America and the world from enduring another Trump debacle, that would be good. But I still want to see him pay a price. He's committed various crimes. There have been things that he's done that we don't even know about yet. We don't even know about yet. Now, as part of this effort, Trump and his lawyer attempt to put pressure on Pence, intimidation, and in support of this crime. In support of this crime. In one email to Pence's lawyer, Eastman wrote, "I implore you to consider one more relatively minor violation of the Electoral Count Act to adjourn for 10 days to allow the legislatures to finish their investigation into non-existent voter fraud." Non-existent voter fraud. Now, you're going to have Trump defenders, and they're online. They jump in my DMs. They hit the comment section. They refuse to accept that the guy who they supported is a fraud and a con man, and just a big baby. Like, you lost. It's just like Trump's the kind of guy that at a basketball game that loses fair and square and then tries to, come up with excuses why he didn't lose or this or that, or just making excuses. Trump is that guy. Just assuming that he would even play any sport aside from golf. The evidence supports an interference or that this attempted interference in the counting of the votes, the electoral votes, is illegal, right? Now, several others, not just Trump, entered into an agreement to defraud the United States by interfering with the election certification process. This is supposed to be the law and order people, right? This is supposed to be the team that's so pro law and order, and what they're doing is illegal. What they're doing is unconstitutional. They like to talk about the Constitution, the Constitution, and violate the Constitution. What about this? The filing also states there is evidence that Trump and his team may have committed common law fraud for repeatedly pushing false claims that the 2020 election was rigged due to widespread voter fraud. The president and his associates persisted in making stolen election claims even after the president's own appointees, his own appointees at the Department of Justice and the Department of Homeland Security, along with his own campaign staff, informed Trump that his claims were wrong. The court documents state. Now, I know the Trump support. What do the Trump supporters have to say about this? Right? You can vote for someone and they can screw up or they can lose, and then you move on, or you dust yourself off and you run again, right? You can lose the election and then let Biden do what he did or do what he does, screw up, come back and try again. But you don't go out and say, "Oh no, I didn't lose. The election was rigged against me." The election wasn't rigged against you. If Hillary had done this, Hillary was upset that she lost. Hillary thought that Putin interfered in the election, but Hillary didn't do this mess. Hillary accepted her loss and moved on. Trump should have, in 2020, accepted the loss, regrouped, and came back in 2024, but not doing it this way, not doing the sore loser thing, and then not doing the illegal activity and the fraud and all of this stuff. It's gonna come out, and it's coming out. The emails are gonna come out. The documents are gonna come out. People are gonna start flipping. Even these Trump cronies are going to start flipping. Big ones. They're gonna start flipping. The January 6th House Select Committee is not conducting a criminal investigation and has no powers to bring forward any prosecutions. But if this was Trump and his team, they don't have the power, but they would try to act like they have the power. This committee doesn't have the power. They're trying to take this down the legal lines, and maybe the Department of Justice is going to pick it up. I doubt it. Maybe they won't, but they're trying to get more information by exposing the crimes that were committed by the former president and his minions. The fact that we've gathered strongly, the facts that we've gathered strongly suggest that Dr. Eastman's emails may show that he helped Donald Trump advance a corrupt scheme to obstruct the counting of the Electoral College ballots and a conspiracy to impede the transfer of power. This is a coup. This is a coup. This is not the way that the system was designed to work. In a joint statement, Thompson and the committee vice chair Liz Cheney suggested that the court filings provide evidence that a crime may have been committed. Crime may have been committed. To prove the actual crimes beyond a reasonable doubt, prosecutors would have to meet a much higher burden. So they're going to continue to do this. They're going to try to continue to get information. They're going to try to continue to get documents, right? And the significance of these filings is that the evidence being uncovered really points clearly in the direction that a possible crime was committed by Trump himself in connection with these efforts. Now, if that is clearly laid out, now even if the DOJ doesn't bring charges, because I don't think that they will, let's say this was anybody other than Trump. Well, anybody other than Trump probably wouldn't have done this. But let's say it was anybody other than Trump. The threat of these actions would shame them into, something. Trump has no shame. Right? He doesn't care. He has no shame. He has no pride. He has nothing resembling that. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. The Department of Justice claims that they're watching closely. They ain't going to do nothing, because if they was going to do something, there's so many other things that they could have done prior to now. So Trump, of course, is not commenting right now. Yeah. Any other time, you can't get this guy to shut up, right? He is out here. We talk about Ukraine, and we talk about all of the things, the atrocities that are happening. The Russians killing innocents, children, women. And this guy, Trump, says that the invasion of Ukraine by Russia was smart. This is the type of guy that we're talking about. This guy here, he said that Putin invading Ukraine was smart. He's done nothing but lick Putin's boots. Lick Putin's boots. And yet his supporters want you to believe that he would have done something different. If you remember, the reason for the first impeachment was because this guy withheld the money, withheld support for Ukraine for this very reason. They wanted weapons to defend themselves. And then these Trump supporters say, well, Russia did not invade Ukraine when he was president. They were preparing for the invasion. Fam, get it through your mind. Preparing for the invasion, getting money together for the sanctions that they knew were coming, getting their military together for the invasion that they knew they were going to do. Trump would have probably tried to send soldiers to help him, because that's how invested he is with Putin. We talk about these Trump cronies. Trump is a Putin crony. He is. But of course, Trump supporters are going to try to make an excuse. Oh, no, not my president. And this clown is the one talking about America first. I don't think he could point out Russia on a map. He's not smart. He is not smart. Now, there are many legal issues that Trump is facing. Now, we talk about they want to take down Fox 45 here in Baltimore is always talking about Marilyn Mosby, right? Marilyn Mosby, and she's done so much. She for those that are watching outside of Baltimore, Marilyn Mosby is Baltimore's state's attorney, and they're upset at her. Fox 45, the conservative media, is upset with her because of I don't know, she got something out of her 401k for COVID-19 hardship, and they say, oh, she's breaking the law, right? They never talk about Trump and the laws that he broke, right? Never, right? You talk about legal issues. Trump is facing legal issues for trying to overthrow the election. Can you imagine if Marilyn Mosby tried to overthrow the election? Shit, just in Baltimore, right? Not for the whole country. Oh, conservative media would just, their heads would explode. Boom. Like on that episode of Dave Chappelle, heads would just explode. So the House committee, the House January 6th committee disclosed this legal filing. And Trump, this has been added to a slew of existing legal troubles over his post-election efforts. So whatever's going to happen in New York, I think if something's going to happen to Trump legally, it's going to be what happens in New York. So the committee, as I said, cannot undertake a criminal investigation. They don't have that kind of power. They can't charge Trump with a crime itself. The only thing they can do is refer. Hey, DOJ, what? Trump committed some crimes. You want to take a look at it? Merrick Garland, oh, I got something in my eye. I don't want to look at it. Merrick Garland ain't going to do nothing, right? He's just, I don't know. I said this again. I don't know why they didn't give him a hearing for the Supreme Court. He's not a threat, right? He's not a threat. He's just like a rubber stamp. Now, that's all they can do. If the DOJ is going to launch an investigation, which I'm saying they're not going to do, right? Who am I? Right? I'm just a DJ and a producer, right? But I'm saying the writing and the evidence suggests that the DOJ is not going to do anything. Right? Now, that would be the second known criminal investigation Trump faces for his post-election campaign, along with the one that Fulton County is doing in Georgia. Now, Fani Willis, who is probing whether Trump committed crimes in his efforts to overturn Georgia's election, that's being done too, and she ain't gonna do nothing either. All right, it's gonna be a whole bunch of talk, whole bunch of this, whole bunch of that. What's the real outcome? Nothing. Nothing. This guy has no shame. He has no pride, no nothing. Now, the grand jury in Georgia's investigation will be convening in May. We'll be following that. And Willis told CNN in February that she will start subpoenaing witnesses in May and over the summer. That's going to be a whole circus. We'll see how that goes, and we'll be following that and all of that that comes with it. Now, a federal judge ruled in February that 3 lawsuits blaming Trump for the January 6th attack can move forward. So that's good. So that can move forward. And it finds Trump's behavior leading up to the riot could constitute plausible conspiracy. Good. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. At least 4 other lawsuits over Trump's role on January 6th, brought by Capitol police officers, is still pending. So you have that. Now, there are also 2 civil lawsuits from voting machine company workers challenging Trump's fraud allegations involving their machines. So he's got that coming up. So, what do we need to watch for? What do we need to pay attention to? Whether the evidence established by the January 6th committee of Trump's alleged wrongdoing will put enough pressure on the Department of Justice to open an investigation. It's still unclear whether they're going to do that. I'm going to say, if I was a betting man, I would say they're not going to do it. Right? When we say put pressure, I mean make it so they have to bring charges. Make it so they are forced to bring charges. They ain't going to go that hard. They're not going to go that hard. Democrats, they don't go that hard. You know, they try to guilt people into doing stuff. Oh, you need to do this. They try to do that, and it rarely works. Sometimes it works, but very, very rarely. Now, the DOJ has drawn criticism from many Democrats for its refusal to take up any probes into the ex-president so far. That's what I'm saying. The DOJ is not going to do anything. They haven't done anything, and there's been plenty that they could have done. But for some reason, I don't know. Does he have naked pictures of somebody, the Democrats, the DOJ? What does Trump have on these people that they just refuse to do anything? Right? They'll say foolishness like, "Oh, we're not going to look backward," or you know what I mean? It's just they'll say that Merrick Garland has no desire to look backwards. That's in the past, right? He just makes up excuses, right? Are they holding his dog in the basement somewhere? Like, why won't he do anything? Criminal investigations into Trump could carry more hefty punishments like prison time, while civil lawsuits against him would really result in consequences like him having to pay money. And they won't even do that. Well, I guess we got to see what happens with some of these civil lawsuits. But Trump having to pay money, that hurts him a lot. He's notoriously cheap. He don't want to pay no money. Right? For somebody that claims to have it, he don't want to pay it. No, he definitely does not want to pay it. But we're going to see what happens and follow this case. Do you think that the Department of Justice is going to bring any criminal charges against Trump? I'd like to know. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok at The Diamond K Show. Of course, onfiretelevision.com, thediamondkshow.com. Former President Donald Trump. The evidence is suggesting that he committed crimes, broke several laws. What is going to happen? I don't know. The 75-year-old going on 76-year-old, he could be in trouble, or maybe not. Your man Diamond K, of course. I will be back later on tonight on firetelevision.com, thediamondkshow.com.